everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to get into a really powerful idea, one that uses a simple story to explain a huge, complicated problem. Why so much potential in the world just goes to waste.
Just let that sink in for a moment. A creature with immense, world-changing power is stuck doing something so small, it's almost insulting. Now, this isn't just some old fairy tale. This is a metaphor that's going to completely change how you see wasted potential in our own world.
All right, let's start with this fable. It might sound like something out of a storybook, right? But it's actually the key to a very modern theory about the incredible talent and energy we let slip through our fingers every single day.
I mean, just picture the sheer absurdity of it. This dragon possesses fire that could literally power industries, light up whole cities, maybe even change the climate. But no, it's chained up, and all of that magnificent, powerful energy is being funneled into a task a tiny candle could do. It's the perfect picture of wasted potential.
Okay, so obviously this isn't just a story about a sad dragon. It's a metaphor for something much, much bigger. It's the basis for what Dr. Hamid Balouli calls the theory of constrained capacity.
The theory of constrained capacity, or TCC for short, is basically a new lens for looking at the world. It helps us figure out why brilliant people, innovative companies, and even entire countries get stuck. The theory argues that the problem usually isn't a lack of potential, it's the presence of all these invisible chains.
And this right here is a really important distinction. This theory is not about limited capacity, having a small, weak dragon. It's about constrained capacity, having a massive, powerful dragon that's been tied down and can't use its strength. The potential is there, it's just locked up.
And here's how it all maps out. It's brilliant. The dragon? Well, that's all the amazing talent and potential that exists in people and organizations. The chains? Those are the real-world constraints, the rigid bureaucracy, the fear of change, the bad management. The coffee cup? Ah, yes. That's all the pointless meetings, the busy work, the symbolic tasks that eat up all our energy. And the fire? That's the actual output, the real capacity being completely wasted on something that just doesn't matter.
All right, so let's take this idea out of the abstract and into the real world. Because I promise you, once you have this framework in your head, you will start seeing these chain dragons everywhere.
So for our first case study, let's take a look at Egypt. Here's a nation that is widely recognized for having some serious human capital, a highly educated, talented population. And yet it continues to face these persistent challenges to its own development. 30 billion. Just let that number sink in. By 2007, the estimated annual cost of what we call brain drain, all those skilled professionals leaving the country, hit 30 billion Egyptian pounds. That is a textbook symptom of constrained capacity. The potential is there, but is literally forced to get on a plane and leave just to be used.
So you might be asking, what are the chains in a situation like this? Well, it's things like a super slow, centralized bureaucracy, an inefficient system, a work culture that might be resistant to innovation, and a lack of transparency. All these things pile up and just smother the incredible—
Okay, I know. Hearing about all these chained dragons can feel a little disheartening. But here is the good news. The theory doesn't just diagnose the problem, it actually points to a solution. So let's pivot from what's wrong to how we can make it right.
This is the big question, isn't it? The million-dollar question. It's one thing to see the chains, to point them out. It's another thing entirely to know how to actually break them. And thankfully, there is a game plan.
I mean, just look at a place like Singapore. They are a fantastic example of what happens when you unleash the dragon. By going all in on meritocracy, promoting the best people, and strategically investing in education and training, they turned their national potential into incredible, tangible progress.
So here it is, the roadmap. First, you have to identify the specific chains. You can't fight what you can't see. Then you need transformational leaders who encourage new ideas, not shut them down. Third, you've got to reform the old institutions, make them more transparent and flexible. Fourth, you invest in people and culture, education, training, technology. Fifth, you ensure justice and equitable access for everyone. And finally, and this one is so important, you demand meritocracy. You stop letting insecure or incompetent managers suppress the real experts.
And this quote just hits so hard because it gets to the very human core of the problem. A lot of times, the chains aren't just rules on paper. They're psychological. They're that insecure manager who feels threatened by the expert on their own team. So they actively work to keep that expert down, to keep the dragon chained, just so their own little position feels safe.
All right, we've gone from a simple fable to a global theory and even to some real-world solutions. But now, I want to bring it all home to you.
I want you to really think about this. Now that you have this new mental model, this idea of the chained dragon, where do you see it? Is there a brilliant but silenced team at your job? A community project that's full of energy but totally stuck in bureaucracy? Or maybe it's even a personal ambition you've kept chained up yourself.
Ask yourself this question. Where is that city lighting fire, that incredible talent, that amazing energy, that game-changing innovation? Where is it being wasted on trivial tasks? Where in your world are we using dragon-level energy just to warm a single cup of coffee?
And that right there is the ultimate takeaway. The world is already full of dragons. It's absolutely brimming with people and institutions that have immense untapped potential. So the real challenge, our challenge, isn't to create more power. It's to have the courage to identify and then break the chains that are already holding